Hello and welcome to this class demo. Today we have a grid of 10 different things on the screen that we're going to complete one by one, and each of these should lead us through the process of learning some of these new tools. So just for navigation and for orientation, you can see in Adobe Illustrator we have a bunch of our tools on the left here that we are going to end up using. There's the ellipses button here as well that shows or reveals even more tools that you would need access to. In order to see our text, we're just going to zoom in here. So that's going to be the command plus to zoom in. And you can scroll to the upper left-hand corner to see the directions. So the first one is to just write our name, date, and period. So use the hotkey T. That means you can actually type it to select the type tool. Click inside this box below, then enter your name, today's date, and your period. So I'll hit T on the keyboard. You can see the type tool shows up. I can just click right into that space by name. You can see it fills with lorem ipsum, and I can write my name, Mr. Bulk. I can then hit the type tool again down below. If I click and drag, you can notice you can also pull out a text box. The date today will be 08/14/23, and the period, since I'm doing this outside of class, will be 0. One of the things you'll notice too is you can take your selection tool, and if you want to move the text around, you can actually click on it once and then reposition it. And you'll notice for some of you as well, you will have alignment tools that will help you kind of set up your text so that things look nice together. Once you're done, you can go ahead and scroll on to the next selection. This one's going to go into the pen tool. And to the left, you can actually see all the different tools. We're basically going to kind of work our way down the toolbar. So find the pen tool. That's hotkey P. This tool operates by drawing a line between two anchor points. With the pen tool selected, connect the red dots below to draw the hand. And so this is going to be a lot like connect the dot. So I'm going to hit hotkey P, and you can see the pen tool shows up. You can also see it over here on the side, pen tool. You can also see next to the title pen, there's a P in a square. That's just indicating what the pen tool is. Also indicated start and finish, and so here you can just click on all the red dots, creating a contour that goes around the hand. Now you'll notice right now the pen tool is filling black, and so something you can do to switch from fill to stroke, which means to go from a solid shape to an outline, is you can hold down Shift and hit the key X, and that will actually create a stroke. If for some reason you want it to go back to fill, the same hotkey applies, and I'll show you at the end. You would just hold down Shift and X again. Almost done. Creating a hand. So I've finished. If I want to actually fill that, I can go Shift X, goes to a solid shape. I'll hit Shift X again. You can notice the pen tool is still attached by this little blue line, which is indicating like where the line would go next. I can also just hit Escape to get the pen tool to disconnect there, and things will move around. Something you can also use for navigation is you can hold the space bar, and that creates a little hand. So if you hold space bar, click, and drag, you can actually move around in the screen. So step 3, we're going to find the shapes in the toolbar to the left, draw a square, a rectangle, a circle, an ellipse, a pentagon, a star, and a line in the space below. So let's start out by just looking over here. You can see on my toolbar the ellipse is the first shape to show up. You can see its hotkey is L. And I can just, when I see a little arrow at the bottom right hand corner of that tool, I can actually click and hold, and it'll reveal all the other tools that are hidden inside that little menu. So draw a square. If I click and drag, I can kind of freehand a square. You can also see the diagonal kind of indicates, that magenta diagonal indicates it's a square. You can also hold Shift, and that will make sure that it stays a square as well. So there's a square. Rectangles can go longer. I can now go to the ellipse tool. That's hotkey L. And I can draw an ellipse. And if I wanted to draw a circle, I can hold Shift, and that'll create a circle. You can halt. You can also hold, I believe it would be Alt and Shift, or it might be Command and Shift, and you'll create a concentric circle. So a circle centered off the center there. Going back to our shapes, we can find our polygon tool. And if you click and drag it out, you can actually use your up and down keys to add more sides to the polygon or less sides. So by hitting down, I can get to a pentagon. I can go all the way up to an octagon or a decagon. So I'm just going to go to a pentagon. If you're not able to draw a pentagon, you can just put whatever polygon you're able to. That will be fine. Go to the star tool, click and drag. You can also see by rotating, kind of plays with placement. With the up and down arrow, you can actually add points to your star, which is kind of cool. And then the last element we'll add is the line with the line segment tool. And this can just be a kind of nice way just to like draw a simple line. Perhaps you're not going to use the pen tool in that case. You just want a simple line. All right, spacebar hand grab to move over. You can see that little hand shows up. Use the paintbrush to draw a flower, hotkey B. So if I hit B, the paintbrush shows up. And then you can also see I can use my left bracket, right bracket to increase or decrease the brush diameter. So if I go plus, you can see the diameter increases, and if I go minus, it decreases. And so we're just going to focus on the actual petals here. I'm just going to kind of trace the shape. Oops, running out of my pad here. You can go ahead and stop. If you're not on a trackpad, you might have a little more mobility. Although the paintbrush is in Illustrator, I tend to use my pen tool more when I'm drawing. But this lesson will involve just learning where all these tools are. So we'll consider that done. I can do a spacebar hand grab. I can left or actually right bracket to increase my stroke. I can trace down the stem. And I'm running out of pad. There we go. And draw a leaf. And I'll draw the other leaf. We'll consider that done. Spacebar hand grab will move over. So for this section, we're going to use what's called the blob brush. And this one, with each shape that you make, how it's different is that when you put a mark on top of another mark, it will actually add to it. And so you can see the keyboard shortcut for this tool is Shift plus B, so Shift B. So I can come out here, I'm going to go same thing with my paintbrush tool. I can left and right bracket to increase the brush diameter. And here I'm just going to kind of like line up with those circles, and I'll just click once. And then when I put those two shapes together, if I go to wireframe, you can see they're actually joined together. So those two shapes actually became part of each other. Let me get back out of wireframe. That's Command Y for those that want to learn that. Or it might be Alt Y on a PC. I'm going to continue clicking to kind of build this cloud shape. And adjusting my brush size to copy that same kind of shape, that contour of the cloud. There we go. So I've got all the outside, then I can just kind of fill the inside by clicking over those negative spaces. And if I go back to wireframe, you can see that it actually draws the whole shape. And it's a solid shape now. All right, spacebar hand grab, move out of the way. Use the pencil tool to draw a picture of the sun below, and that's going to be hotkey N. So again, I'm just going to hit N on the keyboard, and I'm going to draw a picture of the sun. So I'm just freehand a circle. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. And then I'll do little spiky rays coming out. You can see as the pen tool, as the pencil kind of marks that you first make get redrawn in the application, some of the movements that you make kind of smooth out just a little bit. I don't tend to use the pencil tool that much just because I have more control with the pen tool. There's our sun. Use the spiral tool to draw 3 spirals in the space below. You may have to click on the ellipses at the bottom of the toolbar to find it. And you'll see that down here, edit toolbar. So if you click on that, that brings open this side panel. And then you can see underneath the draw section, there's this line segment, the arc tool, and then the spiral tool. So if I click on that and come back out to my artboard, I can click and pull out, and you can see kind of a Fibonacci type spiral popping up. Right now though, my fill and my stroke are both set to no fill, no stroke. So what I need to do is actually add some color, and so I can hit this little color swatch right here, which is loaded with black. And when I do that, it puts black right into the fill. And I can hit this little side arrow here to swap, and that makes the fill go to the stroke. I can then also use my selection tool to move it around. There's no hotkey for the spiral tool unless you create one. If I click and drag, you can also see this is adjustable with the up and down arrows. So if I hit down, it kind of like closes up. The spiral becomes more simple. If I go up, it kind of goes into the center. So get more spirals in the center. I'll select my stroke. I'll put a fill on there. I'll put one more. All right. Spacebar hand grab. We'll move over. In the same way here, we're going to be having to modify a grid and putting a color into the stroke. So use the rectangular grid tool to draw a table with 3 vertical dividers and 1 horizontal divider. You will have to select a stroke color to see the grid. To get it, I can go to my edit toolbar. I can find my rectangular grid tool is right next to the spiral tool. If I click once, come over to the artboard, you can see crosshairs that show up. And then if I just click once inside of here, it actually brings up a menu that allows me to add different units to these to this menu. So for my horizontal dividers, I want to do 1, and for my vertical dividers, 3. So I've already set it up this way. So you can just go in there and type in 1. Here you can change it to 3. Hit OK. And now you can see the grid, but if I click off of it, it's going to disappear. And so I want to make sure that I'm on my stroke and I give my stroke some color. And then I can go to my selection tool, which is the black arrow. And as long as I click on the line, I can then click and drag and move it around. Spacebar hand grab to the next quadrant. Use the polar grid tool to draw a grid with 5 concentric dividers and 5 radial dividers. You will have to select a stroke color to see the grid. So same thing, it's hidden here in the edit toolbar. If it's not already shown on your toolbar, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to come straight to my artboard. I'll click once. I want to set these two units to 5 and 5. I'll hit OK. And then I want to fill my stroke with black. So I'll click on that, get my selection tool. You can see the hotkey for the selection tool is V. So if you don't want to keep going over there, you can just hit V, click on the line, drag it into position, and it's good to go. Spacebar hand grab. Last thing is draw a smiley face in the square using the ellipse tool and the pencil tool. So the ellipse tool, it's hotkey L. So if you remember that, you can see it's highlighted here on the toolbar. I can also click and drag out. And I'm just going to click and drag a circle like that. Right now it has no fill. Something I can do too in like my swatches window is I can actually select, different colors here. There's a fancy way to switch from stroke to fill, and that is holding the keyboard shortcut Shift and X, and it'll actually change from stroke to fill. You can see that happening on the side here. It's toggling, so if I hold down Shift and X, and I just keep hitting X, you'll see it toggles back and forth. So I want a fill of yellow, and then I'm going to use the pencil tool to draw my smiley face. So I'll get my pencil tool. I might want to change this to black. There's lots of ways you can select colors from your color palette, or you can double click on the stroke to select the color. Right now it's at white. I'm going to go to black, hit OK. And I'll draw some eyes in there. I'll scribble some eyes, a little nose, and then a big smiley face. And there we go. If I zoom out, Command minus minus, or actually it'd be Control minus minus, you could then see the entire file with all the work that I kind of went through and created. I would then go to File, Save, and you can save it as your own name, and then upload it to the Google Classroom. And that'll be it. Thanks for watching, guys.